And I don't know, great, we've got a few devotees already. That's wonderful. Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I can try the headphones if you like.
We are okay. We are okay.
Okay. I see Raj, I see the Santa, I see Devala, but he's frozen like an iceberg. I think his mom is behind that.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Let's see how this works. Haribol, can you hear me better?
Same.
Same? Okay. Somewhere or other, I can hear you, Prabhu's better with this.
Okay.
Okay, great. So let's begin. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminita Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Paricharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Om Jnana Timarandasya, please.
Om Jnana Timirandasya.
Jnananjana Shalakaya.
Jnananjana Shalakaya.
Chakshuran Militam Yena. Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance.
I was born in the darkness.
And my spiritual master opened my eyes.
My spiritual master opened my eyes.
With the torch of knowledge.
With the torch of knowledge.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto him.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Okay, great. Please tell me where we left off, because I have a new Bhagavad Gita and I always give them away when I'm in this room. So I lose my spot.
It's 10.7.
We are starting.
You're starting.
Wow. Ready, getting into a hot session. Everyone's having a good summer.
Yeah, not bad. It's pretty warm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. This verse precedes the Chatushloki from Bhagavad Gita. 4 key verses. So this one precedes it. Etang vibhuting yogam cha mama yo vedi tatvataha so vikalpena yogena yujate, natara samshaya. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this, there is no doubt. Okay, and purport, but anybody care to read that?
The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great. Here are the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to him. This factual knowledge can be known from the descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures.
Okay, great. So as we had discussed earlier on, right in the introduction of this Bhagavad Gita, we see that there are 5 subject matters. One is Ishvara, that is God. Another one is Jiva, the living entity. And there's also the living entity's activities. That's called karma. Then we have what's called prakriti, the material energy that he works within. And then finally we have, we didn't say karma, right? Karma.
We said time.
Karma means activities, right? So God, the living entity, prakriti, karma, and I'm missing one.
Kala.
Yeah, kala, that's the one we missed, yeah. So twice I said activity. Kala, the time factor. Okay, so out of those 5 subjects, a lot of the Gita is preoccupied in establishing Krishna's opulences and his mystic power. So this is one of those verses that just makes the statement, yeah, God is powerful. I am powerful, Krishna says. And those who know this about him engage in his devotional service. The next verse will also, let's say, practically duplicate that. Maybe it does, says it in a more eloquent way. Yeah, okay. So that's what you get. Vedic literature means to glorify God, to appreciate his greatness. A lot of traditions are not so much into that. Some just want to philosophize and basically look at the world as it is. And with all its wonders, but like some people are just into Sankhya philosophy and they're happy with that. But here we have to come to the stance that there is a great God behind it all. And so therefore, let us engage in service. Would somebody like to read the next paragraph, please?
Chandra Prabhu. Vasanta, would you like to read? Sankalpa, please read.
Okay, I just joined. Which verse is it?
It's 10:7, and it's paragraph 2 in the purport.
7. Paragraph 2. In the administration of this universe, there are many demigods distributed throughout the planetary system, and the chief of them are Brahma. 1 second. Brahma, Shiva, and the 4 great Kumaras, and the other patriarchs. There are many forefathers of the population of the universe, and all of them are born of the Supreme Lord Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the original forefather of all forefathers. These are some of the opulences of the Supreme Lord. When one is firmly convinced of them, he accepts Krishna with great faith and without any doubt, and he engages in devotional service. All this particular knowledge is required in order to increase one's interest in the loving devotional service of the Lord. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is, for by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to be fixed in sincere devotional service.
Okay. So my comments on this one would be that it's expressed that some of the opulences of the Lord include the devatas, the progenitors of mankind, and so on and so forth. People that are kind of like celestial beings. They're not exactly earthlings. They're very empowered beings. We have Shiva, the Kumaras, and the other patriarchs. They are considered to be the opulence of God. And it's just like people have children, especially a lot of children. A man and woman breed a lot of children. And you look at the whole family together and you could say, wow, that mom and that dad, they have some opulence here. They have some assets. Children were always considered assets. Nowadays, you have 1 or 2. You're lucky to have 3. but there was a time it was common to have a dozen kids. I met one woman on my third walk across Canada, and that was in Northern Ontario. And she said, I told her I'm doing this to promote, let's say, wholesome lifestyle. I'm walking for that purpose to encourage old values and a good family and all that kind of stuff. And she said, oh yeah, I'm one of 21 kids. Wow. She has got like 20 siblings. And when I heard that, I thought, wow, that's a powerful family there, because the opulences are in the number of children. When we go back maybe a century or more, people did have more children. They were the workforce. They were the people who helped you to get the job done. It was a family business if you were on a farm. And your employers were the children, the boys and the girls. And usually the boys went out to work in the fields, do the tough stuff. The girls did a lot of the backup work and do the cooking and gardening and all those kind of things. And yeah, my heart melted when I saw one lady in the Amish community in Pennsylvania. She was hanging the laundry, and then the guys were out on the barn doing some work. And I thought, oh, this is the way it should be. I just thought this is natural. And it's the way it was, the way it is not now, but the way it should be. So you look at your assets. It's an asset to have a mother and a father, but not all people can boast that. They may know one parent. I hear it so often now. Oh, I know. I never got to know my dad too well, or my mother didn't pay too much attention to me. So these are not assets anymore. They just consider they're around there, they did something, but there isn't that strong commitment and love. So the way I like to look at this purport here is that Krishna is the father, and he's got all these children, and his children are listed here, some of them. The demigods, headed by Brahma, the Kumaras, and Shiva, and so on. They are all his sons. Excuse me if I yawn, I just haven't had enough sleep. And my body went through a little shocks and stuff. So that's, what would you say, Farus, to that? Isn't, quite an opulence? If you have a family, you've got all these children, and they basically get along with each other. It's one of the Lord's opulences, most assuredly. Any comments on that? I mean, you could afford children at one time. It's not like every child that comes through demands the Nike shoes or the best name brand clothes, even though they don't look very special. They were made in Pakistan, assembled there. You have to have the brand name clothes. And the kids get very expensive. Yeah.
Oh, Maharaj, I must come from a lucky family because I'm the only boy and I have 6 older sisters.
Oh my God, wonderful. And who may be speaking?
Bhakta Andy.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Now I know if you have that kind of situation, that means you were the prince.
No, I would say more or less I was the abuse victim.
I see. They give you a little bit of tough time, do they?
I had to learn how to cook and sew and do all the things they knew how to do. But they said one day I may not have a wife with my attitude.
Wow, amazing. All right. Good. Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I was raised in a family. We had 3 boys, 3 girls. So for me, that's just normal. That's just natural. It was such an even Steven kind of karmic response to how my parents were. And we were just a year and a half apart from each other. I thought it was such a perfect, output, if I may use that term. I just thought everyone should have this, And the point is, we actually liked each other, and we got along with each other, even though we saw each other to be we had different personalities, but we got along. We liked each other. That's the point. And so I thought we were in opulent position just because of that. Yeah. And our parents looked after us. So they did so much. So that's an opulent family. Not exactly the scenario that we have today. Any other comments about family? Krishna's family or your own?
Maharaj, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you expand on the Prabhupada's usage of the word unalloyed?
Yes, the word unalloyed, pure devotional service. I guess you're spotting it in this verse here, right? Yes, it's here, unalloyed. When Prabhupada came to the West, he first landed at Boston at the harbor, right? And at that particular harbor, there was this steel plant nearby. It was a very much more industrial-like, harbor at that time, 65, as opposed to now. So there was this company said unalloyed steel. And he was trying to understand what that unalloyed means. And apparently, I don't think he looked on his cell phone to just get the definition. But unalloyed means, there weren't any at that time. Unalloyed means pure, not mixed up with other metals. So unalloyed steel means steel in its purest form. And he took that word, he dwelt on it and thought about it. Yes, I'm going to use this word. So in his literatures, you see unalloyed pure devotee or unalloyed devotional service, not tainted or, not room for mixes. So that the word is very appropriate, although it's generally used to describe a certain kind of metal. In this case, Prabhupada felt it appropriate to use it in terms of, what it has to do in relation to the spirit soul. So that's what we mean by unalloyed, not tainted, not mixed up with other things. Okay. So does that answer the question? Okay. Are we're still connected?
He's not hearing you, I think.
I'm sorry?
I think he's not hearing you.
No,
Oh,
we heard.
Here, your husband.
well, you didn't respond, so therefore we didn't know if you went into another zone, another planet or not.
I have a question.
Yes.
The last sentence is, one should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is, for by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to be fixed in sincere devotional service. Could you go deeper into that? How, if one knows how great Krishna is, then one can be fixed in devotional service. How does that first one leads to the other one?
Well, when we hear stories about Prabhupada and how he reacted with people and how he answered questions and just how he basically dealt with us, each little wave or installment of glories about him, makes you more and more meek as you listen, as you read. So it's a little bit like that. Krishna has all these opulences, and it just keeps going on and on and on. There's no limit to them. And so you're naturally inclined to feel that, hey, this person really has got my attention. He deserves my attention. So that's really the idea. The more that Krishna is understood, the more we hear about his magnanimous nature and his majesty, the more we're inclined to take a humble position and to be active and serve. I don't know if it was last week we said, we are small, God is tall, therefore we fall at his lotus feet. We are so insignificant in comparison to Krishna. So if Ananta Shesha, not the one that's in the circle here, but the original Ananta Shesha, is able to glorify and say something impressive each time about the Lord and never tire of it and never repeat the same quality twice, then we know that Krishna has so many powerful attributes. So when you really respect someone and they've impacted your life, you are inclined to serve them, to do them a favor, right? And favor means devotional service. Have any of you ever met somebody like that you're in awe with? Oh, wow, okay.
Maharaj, we are speaking to, we are watching that person.
Oh, will you stop it now? Yes, so it's, I'm sure that you're familiar with the next verse, which more or less expresses the same thing. You know, just jumping a little ahead. If someone is the source of the spiritual material worlds, it simply means they're very great. How can they accomplish this feat? You know, two different energies, one is matter, one is spirit. And this individual, whom people call God, is the origin of these energies. Must be a powerful person. And then, of course, is worthy of our seva. Now, let's take another sort of a mundane example. If we're to study the neem tree, you know, that grows in India, especially in Bengal, you can read about all its amazing properties, what it does for the environment, what the herbal powers in the tree, the shade that it gives, the smell that it gives, etc., etc. So, you know, some beings have such power, and just like I learned more recently that possums, everybody knows what a possum is, they go through the forest and they eat ticks. They eat ticks. So in that sense, and I'm sure they are good for a few other things too. But I didn't have that kind of respect for possums before that. They look like a hairless rat, you know. But when I heard about, you know, that they go around and eat ticks, at least that's one of their food stuffs, as Prabhupada uses the term. I just immediately, my respect for the possum jumped up. I just thought, wow, thank you very much. Yeah. I personally love looking at documentaries on animals, and the more you learn, you pick up on their intelligence level. You see the amazing things they're able to do, and then you are in awe. Oh my God, how could this absolutely be? There's this one fish. What he does is he goes to the surface of the ocean or the water, and he makes this amazing like formation in the sand, like a piece of artwork, symmetrical and everything. And he does it to attract a female. You know? So you should see the artwork. It's incredible that a fish, whom we oftentimes rate as a living entity not so advanced, can do these incredible things. One more thing to consider too, that Krishna appears in many species of life. So therefore we should have regard for all these people, because God has made his presence there. And the horses and the cows and all the other animal forms. Anything else? Any other reflections, Prabhus?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, humble obeisances of Goswami Prabhupada.
Jai.
So So last time you asked me to check what are 7 sages, you remember?
Yes. Yeah.
So I just looked the details. The 7 sages, can I tell that to you now?
I think it's okay. Yes.
Yes, Vasishta, Marichi, Palastia, Pulaka, Arti, Angira, and Krutu. So when Brahma breathes, and Vasishta comes from his breathing. And from the mind, Marichi comes from navel, Palustia, and from the mouth, Pulaka, from the eye, Arti, and from the ear, Krutu. So that's how the progenitors come, and they help in the progenation process.
Nice. Good to be informed about those individuals that we do honorably read about, in the Vedas. Yes. Thank you for that. Bravo. Bravo.
I have a question.
Okay, sir.
Any other reflections, Bruce?
Yeah, I have a question, Maharaj.
Yeah.
In the verse and in the purport, 3 times, I guess, comes the word conviction. That unless we are convinced, then we don't get that determination, that full faith, and finally surrender. So when we didn't reach that stage, it means that we are not convinced, that so therefore everything is weak. So what determines that the conviction still didn't come?
Well, your lack of action or your slothfulness towards devotional service, you're not sure. People are not sure, they lack confidence, which is the word you're talking about. They tend to not have just not have that fire in them. And sometimes it's hard to conjure up. Therefore, in terms of following Krishna, the more we read about him, the more he expresses his logic, and every new nuance of Krishna, such as his just being so encouraging to Arjuna, draws us more into Krishna. You feel like, I want to do something for this person. I think the devotees who first met Prabhupada saw something in him, and immediately they want to do something for him. First of all, because he's an older man, and secondly, they understood him to be, a man of God, God's representative. Yeah. So to get that, does that answer the question more or less?
Thank you.
Are you there? Okay.
Thank
you. We want to talk about how to get conviction.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, can I say something?
Yes, please.
First of all, my humble obeisance. Hope you are feeling fine after the knee operation.
Yes, knees are needed. It is part of a human, as a part of a human's legacy, a LEG legacy.
Yes. Okay, so Maharaj, when on the greatness of the Lord, when I came to Krishna consciousness and start reading books, so I was amazed, like when I read in Bhagavatam, so many trillions of years of Brahma's life, and that just one deep breath of Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu coming from the expansion of Krishna. So I was amazed with these kind of facts. And I mean, we cannot estimate the greatness of Krishna.
Yeah.
And also some of the qualities really amazed me. Like he was so, when I read in a book called Second Chance, he was so kind to Putna. He made Putna his mother. So I mean, I was so enchanted. Like I was really attracted to. I must go deeper into Krishna consciousness and go closer to that was really encouraging for me. The qualities of Krishna. Just to mention a few, I don't remember, not coming to my mind now, but these kind of things like, and he's just a boy in Golok Vrindavan, cohort boy, and expansions are, I mean, amazing. So that's something that make us really believe that God is really great.
Yes. It was, let's see, Kirti Raj, who lives in Alachua, where some of you live in Florida. He handed the Pope, the Polish Pope who was with us 3 decades ago, he gave him a Bhagavad Gita. And he said, oh yes, I know this Bhagavad Gita. It is a book, it's Krishna's book. Krishna is great. So he admitted like that. He felt that Krishna had something great to offer. Just when you look at Krishna's philosophical side from the Gita, you develop an attachment for him. You know, put aside the looks, put aside his other, antics and pastimes that he gets involved in. His heroism by saving innocent people and so on like that. Just look at the Gita alone. Forget about all those other things. You feel, wow, this man is worthy of worship.
Yes.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. You were talking about the creation and how Krishna's there, then comes Vishnu, and then comes Brahma, and there's 3 layers of Vishnu, and Brahma's 4 heads. Wow. What kind of a God is that? Who can produce all of this? Yeah, thank you. Someone else wanted to say something.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, my obeisances. This is Mandala Ramdas.
Yes, Mandala.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's so nice to see you. I'm sorry, I'm just driving right now, but since we're all kind of just revealing our heart and asking questions, it's not quite in line with what we're reading, but I figured I'd just ask it anyways. Just with regards to when we're out preaching and sharing Krishna with others, kind of off the go, we always give the answer of the spiritual solution for all problems, which is Krishna and Krishna consciousness in one sense. But since we have a material body, we have material conditioning, mindset, sometimes I feel like if we don't tend to people's needs on that sense as well, then we're being a little impersonal. And I just know how you're so personal, Maharaj, and you were with me, bringing me up in Krishna consciousness, that, is it that we should just give this spiritual solution is just, chant Hare Krishna? Or is there also a need, or we should also facilitate, people's material conditionings and then, give them what they need in that sense as well? That doesn't mean money or anything, but, their psychophysical nature type thing.
Well, I just, Prabhupada is the best example. Like, my favorite literature is books about him. It's better than the Gita for me. When I hear about Prabhupada and how multifaceted it was, and he was caring not just for your soul, but caring for your physical condition. If you had an ailment, he would be very concerned. And he would offer sometimes remedial measures, just because he had a little bit of background in medicine. So he tended to both sides, the spiritual needs and the material needs. In that way, we can say he's an all-arounder. He was a caregiving person. Yeah. So in our delivery of Krishna consciousness to people, if you show very strongly your human side, your caring side, then the other people, they're just much more inclined to be receptive to you, right? I think it's a great opulence to be able to share with people Krishna consciousness by just being human, being kind and offering help. We give food to people. They don't know that it's prasadam. They may get a chance to find out, but when they see that we're such giving people, tolerant, they're inclined to get closer to us. Right? So show your good side. Don't show your dark side. If we are to turn ourselves inside out and show our dark side, we quickly zip it up.
So on that point, Maharaj, because growing up in the West and definitely having that experience, not living the most pious life from birth and all that, there is a dark side, absolutely. So how should we deal with that? Did we just snuff it out, read the Bhagavad Gita, or, what is the way to actually overcome those anarthas and those things that may be holding us back in Krishna consciousness?
Yashin Bhataks Vakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtna, Ridyadasta Yavadarani, Vidyanoti Surit Sadam. From the Bhagavatam, we hear about, the transcendental messages of the Lord, the pure sounds, and they will have a positive effect on us. Yes, no doubt. People can act in the mode of goodness, but I feel you have to do a little bit more. You have to do a little bit more in order to get to Gora. Yeah. So reach out to Krishna, and certainly he'll reciprocate. Be personal with Krishna, and he'll be personal with you.
So I see that you write a lot, Maharaj. You write in your journals a lot. Like, I obviously know you as the most blissful person ever that probably never goes through any struggles, but you might at some points also. So how do you reveal? Do you have a journal that you write to Krishna, or do you just do it in prayer? Or how do you overcome those obstacles? Is it just from reading and you're able to overcome these things? Or any other tactics that you could share quickly? Sorry to hog the airwaves.
So that's okay. Any other hints? Keeping busy. Just subjecting yourself to devotional activities. You have to have a mindset. There isn't anything else but service to Krishna. There just isn't. And serving Krishna comes in manifold ways. It means taking care of your responsibilities, your duties, and the householder situation. Do it the best you can, and then Krishna's very pleased. So, it's chanting is there, reading is there, Shastra. Do things for your body and your soul. And I always just love the phrase that Prabhupada used. It's iconic. He was just saying that do whatever it takes to keep body and soul together. And that means we must strive for a balance by introducing into our day some spiritual, preoccupation. All right. Shall we go to the next verse?
Yes, Maharaj.
This verse only.
The first of the Chatur Shloki. Who would like to? Okay, aham sarvasya prabhavo, mutta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mang buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So this is a reflection of the verse just prior, but it tells us a little bit more. The opulence that is expressed here is God's responsible for all matter and all that's spirit. It comes from him. And once you know that about him, you also will kind of fall down on your knees and say, You are such a great person. Thank you for coming into my life. Good. Someone start work on the purport then.
Okay. A learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya and who knows how to apply these teachings can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by fools. All Vedic literature agrees that Krishna is the source of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods. In the Atharva Veda, Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.24, it is said, Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedamscha Gapayati Sma Krishna. It was Krishna who in the beginning instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past. Then again, the Narayana Purana, Narayana Upanishad says, Atha Purusho Ha Vai Narayano Akamayata Praja Srijeti. Then the Supreme Personality Narayana desired to create living entities. The Upanishad continues, Narayanat Brahma Jayate, Narayanat Prajapati Prajayate, Narayanat Indro Jayate, Narayanat Ashtavasavo Jayante, Narayanat Ekadasha Rudra Jayante, Narayanat Dwadashadityaha. From Narayana, Brahma is born. From Narayana, the patriarchs are also born. From Narayana, Indra is born. From Narayana, 8 Vasus are born. From Narayana, 11 Rudras are born. From Narayana, the 12 Adityas are born. This Narayana is an expansion of Krishna.
Yes, very much. And everybody remembers Narayana. One definition is, it's a beautiful definition of what is God. But here's how Prabhupada translates it. It says, it's the resting place of the aggregate total of all living beings. Yes, so Narayana means that, the resting place of the aggregate total of all living beings. So that means that we emanate from Narayana, another name for God. We are all his offspring, and we present ourselves differently and uniquely from each other. God, if we were all the same, we'd be like zombies. We would be very boring. But look how Krishna's designed everything to give us that individuality. Yeah, good. Would somebody like to read the last, the next paragraph, let's say.
Gaurchandra Prabhu, can you please read? Or anybody else?
Hare
It is said in the same Vedas, Brahmanda Devaki Putraha, the son of Devaki, Krishna, is the Supreme Personality. Narayana Upanishad 4. Then it is said, Eko vai Narayana Asinna Brahmane Jano Nabhavnagni Samo Nevityai Apavitrive Nanakshatranin Hasurya. In the beginning of the creation, there was only the Supreme Personality, Narayana. There was no Brahma, no Shiva, no water, no fire, no moon, no heaven and earth, no stars in the sky, no sun. Maha Upanishad 1, 2. In the Maha Upanishad, it is also said that Lord Shiva was born from the forehead of the Supreme Lord. Thus the Vedas say that it is the Supreme Lord, the creator of Brahma and Shiva, who is to be worshipped.
Jai, yeah, that's a good link there. Thank you, Gaurachandra. Yeah, so it's all reiterating Krishna's position. That all these powerful gods or deities that we read about and that are our heroes we have to appreciate they're existing because of Krishna's existence. And this Bhagavad Gita should actually clarify many things for people. Our Hindu community are sometimes very confused about the different gods and goddesses. They'll say Krishna is equal to this god and that god. And we see what actually is the fact. Krishna's fathering all these great beings. Then we should take the time to make some adjustment in our way of perceiving Krishna. Yeah. Everybody knows about Shiva, Brahma, how everybody remembers how Brahma was born from the lotus flower that came from the navel of Vishnu. And Brahma became enlightened. Once he did, he was empowered to create the world. So that's one thing. The world was there, and he told his sons, 4 young sons, the Kumaras, I want you boys to start thinking about family life. And they were just saying, I don't think, we didn't have that in mind. But they refused to accept his father's request or order. And he got very angry. And usually when you demonstrate anger, it goes here in the area of the brow, right here, kind of like where the tilak mark is. So out from that, that third eye came, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of that third eye came Shiva. Yeah. So the family's starting to grow now. Yeah, so Krishna's responsible for all of this, all these personalities. So let us tip our hat off to him once again. Good. Any questions or thoughts about that, Bruce? Then why don't we, before we depart, we can read one more paragraph, basically. Who would like to do the honor?
Dharma Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, Mataji. In the Moksha Dharma section of Mahabharata, Krishna also says, Prajapatim cha rudram chapi aham yeva sujami vai tauhi mam na vijanitho mama maya vimahitavo. The patriarchs Shiva and others are created by me, though they do not know that they are created by me because they are deluded by my illusory energy. In Varaha Prana, it is also said, Narayana Paro Devas Tasmach Jatas Chatur Mukha Tasmat Rudra Bhavat Deva Sacha Sarva Jnanatam Ghata. Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from him Brahma was born, and from whom Shiva was born.
Okay.
Should I read the last paragraph, Maharaj?
I think that's good. Andy, why don't you take a turn, crack at it, this last paragraph? Are you there?
Yes, sir. Okay.
No.
Lord Krishna is the source of all generations, and he is called the most efficient cause of everything. He says, because everything is born of me, I am the original source of all. Everything is under me. No one is above me. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna. One who understands Krishna in such a way from a bona fide spiritual master with resources from Vedic literatures engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness and becomes a truly learned man. In comparison to him, all others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools. Only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. A Krishna conscious person should not be bewildered by fools. He should avoid all unauthorized commentaries, and interpretations on Bhagavad Gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with demonstration and firmness.
Right, determination and firmness. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's good. Just to take note of the first verse or the first sentence in that last paragraph. The source of all generations, that's something that's significant. Yeah, through nature's cycles, 1 year cycles, there's a regeneration, right? Of new plants, new life coming out into the air. And generations can also refer to, the different people that come through the generations, from father and mother into the next gen and so on like that. It's not that he did a one-time deal, but it seems that what he was able to accomplish by giving birth to all the world, it's an ongoing machinery of development. And that's another one of his opulences. He just keeps going. He never stops. He keeps going and he keeps growing. That truly is an opulence. So a key thing for this verse here, which is important to us, and the first of 4 key verses is that you arrive at a conclusion after realizing God's greatness. You come to the point of service. Yep. Driving all your attention towards the Lord instead of your good self, your good rotten self. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada also gives a warning. Watch it. Who are you listening to? Especially when it comes to presenters of Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures. We have good reason to doubt them because they have concocted their own ideas in most cases. And we should question and not trust. Good. Anything else, Bruce? I think I'm going to really have to kind of like dive in. And dive in means jumping on the bed, leaping on the bed. I need some rest now.
Only a quick.
Hare Krishna, take a good rest.
We will.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Obeisances.
Hari from Cleveland.
Yes, Maharaj. I'm glad to see and I wish you good rest and wish you speedy recovery and complete return.
Well, bless you, honey child. Bless you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Vipasan to be able to put Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo in the ball. Haribol.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.
See you next week.
See you, Hare Krishna.
Next week.